Morning traders, good afternoon, good lunchtime. I'm trying to make sure I can see that I'm pushing data out. Okay, I can see myself on TradingView now. Trying to get YouTube to load. Sorry for the late stream announcement. Stream's on time. The announcement came not at my typical time. Did a little bit of a headache today. Showing some festivities last night. I'm gonna go over the market setup. We're going to look at structure, we're going to look at Ether, BTC, the indices, and then I'm taking any and all suggestions you guys want me to look at, all charts. I kind of have BTC pulled up. Let's hover over Ether, and then come back to BTC. So I've kind of been treating this as a bear trap, right? This last leg down, even, prior to this leg up, I was looking at indices and I was saying, we're going to see an infinite bear trap scenario. We don't need infinite QE. It looks like Ether is trying to set up a bull flag here. I still think we're above that 50 fib. Now I'm probably going to try these 3 wicks because I don't have this pre-charted. So right here, not quite there. But if we do take that last swing low pre-breakout, we fib it, we had support at the 50. We could still see 2883. I'm not discounting that, but in Discord I was, did post yesterday saying like this is really good spot buying levels, right? Like we want to be buying these dips, not selling the dip. Definitely not selling, but layering into what could potentially be a swing long, right? So looking at the daily chart, we look at the weekly. It kind of looks like a 50-50 from here on the weekly, not for Ether, but like BTC, it looks like it wants to fold over and go into one of these extensions. But any spot buy that I'm doing here, I'm probably not looking to profit take until the major 61.8 or even a 1.2, right? So until we get up to like 3840 or maybe even 5600, right? That's probably a highly optimistic target. But we're still in inflation. We're still experiencing inflation. It's not over. It's just like anything in markets, we want to be buying these dips. We don't want to get like super excited on up candles, right? We don't want to be buying like the breakout, right? And like, oh my God, market's running up. It's gonna keep going up, and then somebody buys this breakout, and the chart pulls back. And what do they do here, right? So we could be looking at a very similar setup where now we're seeing this bull flag, and if this breaks out, then I think we're going to 56. It's too early for that breakout. We haven't seen any trend lines give, especially on that flag setup. On the QQQ, we did see a trend break, right? And I'll highlight that a little later in the stream. But yeah, we don't quite have a breakout just yet in terms of trend lines, but the chart is starting to look volatile. It's starting to look like it wants to fold over, and what looked like a continuation triangle, right, is starting to reverse, right? This at one point could have looked like, oh, it's just another bearish triangle, we're going to go down. So it broke up to the upside, which is really good for now. If this is going to neck, or if it's going to shut us down and come back down, I think this is the 61.8 to get a continuation short on. We're closing above, we're not closing above, but we're trading above currently. So maybe we can see the trend line give. We'll see just how bullish or bearish this is. So I think if we continue up today, then I'd want to see 31.71. And maybe at this point we can hedge a short, maybe, right? Just like for safety net, right? As an insurance fund, do that. And let's say we do get a rejection there, and then maybe like a move to the lower 61.8, then we can literally buy this 2883 dip while being hedged. If we don't see that, then and we see continuation, then hey, let it run. That covers my ETH chart. BTC on the weekly is actually not looking that bad. I was looking at that this morning and looking at it on a weekly scale. I'm just going to do the 1W. Let me do another. It's bit stamp. There's no. All right. So the weekly does not look that bad. Like in retrospect, we zoom out and it literally looks like it wants to do something like this, right? I'd hate to be like the perma bull in the room, the only one in the room besides my dog. But I'd hate to be the perma bull, but it looks like we did this consolidation, right? And a bit of a triangle. I'm just gonna use trend lines, right? So we look at these closes, right? And we see this triangle. The chart closed above. We had a breakout, right? And this is the weekly retest. And at this point, we could chop out a little bit. We could be doing something like this. So I'm optimistic, especially with the fact that I'm betting that the QQQ is going to make a new all-time high, right? And that just tells me that maybe we should be looking at something post-corrective right now, where the market does start to roll over. And on the weekly, if we fib this, that 61.8 fib got bought up, right? Going off that last swing low, right? This is our swing high, and the chart is literally looking really nice. I think in terms of like long-term buys, this is a good dip. Like, I think we can look back in retrospect, and maybe if we were experiencing something like here, right, where we had not quite the same setup. Oh, I'm covering it with my face, right? So we look at like a breakout and a retest, and this retest, led up to a nice run up. The weekly chart, in my opinion, with 39,704 holding as support, this is freaking, it's sexy, right? It's not as sexy as buying COVID crash, right? But inflation's up 8%, right? I don't think we're going to see the same prices we saw before we had the inflation run up, right? And at least like for the U.S. It's not inflation, but like CPI, Consumer Price Index is up 8.4%, highest in history, right? So we can't really expect asset devaluation down here. It wouldn't make much sense. Now, it makes sense to have fear in the market, right? They say like buy fear, buy uncertainty. It makes sense to have fear in the market of, oh, we're going to see another meltdown, but are we, right? I think we already saw that on the stock side, right? We already saw the slide of like negative 50% on BTC. I think potentially we can flip up and bullish. I'm just gonna throw some moving averages on here on the daily chart, see what that looks like. Nothing super impressive, right? It's not like we're finding one of my critical supports like we did back here, right? When we leveraged this long, it's actually resistance. Yeah, so I'd say we're like post-corrective, maybe. We still have maybe a couple weeks to chop before we start seeing like sexy candles. Hard to say, but everything else looks decent. Like I think the weekly looks good. The 61.8 looks bullish on this last swing, and yeah, I'd want to see how this plays out. That covers ETH and BTC. I'm not seeing much suggestions in the chats. I'm taking comments from both YouTube and TradingView. So if you guys want to start showing me some tickers, start doing that. I'm going to cover indices. I mentioned previously that the NQ Nasdaq Composite looks like it broke a trend line this morning. It kind of tried to break one yesterday too. And yeah, so what we saw yesterday was an attempted break, right? And then tech kind of sold off again, right? But we're seeing support, right, like 3 times here. And what are bulls defending, right? So I think maybe that's the 61.8. Do have an alert right below it for the QQQ. It's actually right above the 61.8. Unless we do that breakout retrace over here, which is right below. It's definitely interesting, right? What do we know about these 50% bullish retracement? Just like I mentioned on Ether and Discord, when we see 50% bullish retrace hold, it's technically really super bullish. And I want to see tech breakout. We need to see this market go back into equilibrium, because we see some stocks down 70%, index is down 15%, other stocks down 20%. So I think when these stocks start kind of pulling back towards, call it like mean reversal, right? Get back towards their average. Stuff like Facebook and PayPal and everything that really sold off in a shit, Shopify and Netflix, right? When these stocks go back to normalization, and with the others going up, I think this index is going to go crazy. So let's look at the S&P futures. And this one, it looks like it's doing a 50% retrace just based off that last swing, and that could be mega bullish, right? It sounds weird that I'm bullish at this swing. I feel like the hedger in me and the doomsday trader that used to be in me, it would be like all over shorting this, but I don't see it right now. I don't see like a deflationary era right now. I think there's a fear, but like I think it's the fear in the market's kind of a little bit manufactured, right? Where like I think like pre-2007 crash, right? Everybody was bullish. Where like fund managers were not worried. There wasn't like recession coming headlines every day, right? Post-07, you look at fund managers and they were all super bullish and really excited, thinking, oh, we're gonna keep going up, and meanwhile they were selling shit products, right? That caused global financial crisis. So I think we're in a different era right now. All right, that covers what I wanted to cover. A little rambling too. What do you guys? What kind of charts y'all want me to look at? Anything? Look at Twitter. Man, it's kind of slowed down a little bit. I haven't really read up headlines on Twitter today, or about Twitter today. Oh, we're not trying to do that. Let's just do this. Go back to the weekly. At this point, Elon is not on the board, so he's not bound by a 15% stake or 14 point whatever percent stake. So it could be a hostile takeover incoming. I think this thing's been trading on more volume than anything than the S&P and the QQQ, or it was a few days ago. I want to see this start breaking out. Like we did see the catalyst and that gap up, right? And it's filling a gap, which is not bearish, right? Filling a gap is never bearish. Morning, Delilah. It's actually like a rough morning for me. I have a mean headache today. Like looking at the Facebook fractal play, right? Like I saw this pattern like a year ago, right? 2 years ago, I saw this pattern, and then I saw something. I literally saw the same pattern. I'm gonna call it the accumulation pattern on Twitter, right? And just haven't had the catalyst just yet. We just saw the catalyst, so if that's it, then I'm expecting the big explosive leg to come, and like basically the new trend, right? So I still think it's early. 1 USD Vice Prez, welcome back, man. I've not seen your name come up in the stream in some time. Welcome back, my friend. Man, 1 USD is at 12 cents USD. Harmony. It looks like it's at a 786. So, all right. Before we start looking at alts, I just want to give like a blanket statement, right? If BTC and Ether look like they're about to roll over to the top side, so we could very much likely see the rest of the market follow, right? Like the whole like a rising tide raises all ships or whatever. Very much valid here, and what we're seeing is potentially the support level at 12 cents. Now, what are some resistances at play? Can we find out? Like, what I want to do now is try to see where exactly this market has found fib tops and fib bottoms based on some other swings. This looks valid. What about here? Kind of like this one better. I think they're both valid. So let's call 12 cents support. Okay, I'm gonna call 12 cents support. And at this point, a lot of things like Ether and BTC are kind of running up to a trend line. Looks like Harmony is maybe past that trend line. I don't like this trend line. It's super aggressive, but it's definitely past that trend line. So at this point, We need to see this chart push up past 12.6, right? 12.62. We need to see this get taken up by bulls and prices continue above, so maybe we can like start retracing back up higher. Thank you, Delilah. Sorry about my headache too. It's like freaking pushing both sides of my brain. And Sand BTC. Hey, to T Larton. Man, I haven't been looking at BTC pairs in a while, right? Just because, yeah, like very few things have outperformed BTC. I think Luna is the only thing that's still up on BTC. I don't know after this last correction. I'm just gonna check it for reference. Yeah, like it's the only thing that's significantly kicked BTC's ass. So looking at Sand BTC, I think you're better off like looking at Sand USD, especially at this point where the market is, right? Like, because we do know BTC is king, and I don't think Sand is gonna displace BTC, right? So if you're trying to swing it for more BTC, like I think I can. The most I can do is commend your effort. It's not going to be an easy feat, not in these market conditions. And it sounds like an assholey thing for me to say, but yeah, these charts are not the friendliest trading these assets on a BTC pair. So in honor of everything I just said, I'm just going to look at Sand USD and save us all the headache. And the chart kind of looks the same at this point. It's trying to find a price floor, right? It looks like it's trying to find a price floor, 2.4, 2.5. The thing about these is I don't really like charts that kind of look like this. Because essentially it looks like a descending triangle, right? This reminds me of like BTC 2017, 2018. No, 2018, 2019. People are like, it's a descending triangle. No, it's a falling wedge. No, it's, like this whole ordeal. This does not look as sexy to me. It's definitely a consolidation, right? And it could be a descending triangle. I think most critical element for this chart is going to be knocking out a 61.8 bear retrace, right? So it needs to get above 3.4 desperately, right? I don't even think it's been doing these look like 50s, right? So what I mean when I say that these look like 50s is what we see here on this last swing was a 50% bear retrace, right? This top, and I think even this previous one, it could be a 61.8. Yeah, definitely. So that's 61.8. Then we see a 50. And then this last swing continuation also looks like a 50. And a 50 is going to be a lot more bearish than a 61.8, right? Totally a 50. So, yeah, at this point, I'd want to see a 50 or a 61.8. I think it's a close above a 61.8. Would be surprising, back to that 3.4 level. But here we see like two 50% bearish retracement continuations. And I think the next one would be at 3.26, 3.24. Until it breaks that zone, I wouldn't be too optimistic about it. Also kind of looks like ADA did. Right, you see that, like the descending triangle top. I'm actually surprised ADA's not back at like 30 cents. Some of you guys are gonna hate me for that statement, but like, I'm surprised this thing's, even if it does like, this was a descending triangle that broke up on ADA, right? But did it really? It's just back where it started. It's actually below it now. Like looking at price. All right, let's look at Sol. Sol looks like it's following Ether. It's definitely trying to regain some of its wind. This moon was a mega boomer, and now it's kind of become not as hyped, right? The hype kind of died down. Definitely died down. Not even kind of. This was probably one of the most overhyped assets of the year, of last year, and looks like the hype kind of chilled out. More interestingly, I want to look at a few things, right? I want to look at, more importantly, what's going on in terms of extensions and then retracements. So, not a fan of this setup. I'm trying to find like the most compliant fib where we get tops and bottoms. This one's pretty good. Looking at these like weekly closes, right? These wicks down here found support at 27, and then the resistance, the SR flip is 72 plus or minus. The top at 246. It's kind of disappointing we don't have another ring at 72. I'm not sure why we found support there, and that's why I keep pointing to shift this fib around. But I'm not going to do that. Can't spend too much time on this one chart. I do think real important to highlight now is where's the 61.8, and it's right at 101 for Gab. So if this is going to continue up, right, it's at 105, 101 being a stop, this would probably be a good pullback to get into, especially again in terms of a spot position for the next leg up. And in terms of the target on something like this, once again, we see a 50%, just like what we saw on the earlier chart. I'll think on Sand USD, right? The 50% failed. So we want to see visit to 156, right? Of course, it has to, you can't just go straight up there. So I think the first level that it could fail at would be, get this fib out of my face. Right, so now we kind of have our entry, right? I think the first level it could fail at would be 125, and then we're looking like 143, 156. Not even 143, but 156 to 162. So I think there's a little move to be captured here. By little, it's like almost a 20% move from 105 to 125 to 156. All right, fam. What else do you guys have for me? Any other chart recommendations? Show me now. Show me once. Do it twice. No chart suggestions. All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to today's stream. I'll be back on once again on Friday. Same time, same place. Actually, no, I will not be back on Friday because Friday is a holiday, right? Markets closed on Friday. So you guys won't see me until Monday. So this is your last chance to squeeze one more chart out of me. If not, you're only going to see me in Discord until Monday. Maybe some tweets here and there. If you don't follow us on Twitter, it's at CoinOBS. You can see it right there on the screen. How does that work? Where is that? Right there. Right. I don't know. Whatever. Right there. All right. Thanks for tuning into the stream. Follow us on Twitter. Hop into Discord. Check out the link tree. You can see all our things. And yeah, you guys have a happy Easter weekend. And Link. I was looking at Link today, and I was thinking it looks so good until I did some extensions on it, and it looks so bad. But it's probably really good because it doesn't look that good. You know what I mean? Like when the market wants to make you sell because it looks like shit, but you're supposed to be buying type setup on Link. Getting a text. Y'all hear that? I wonder who's thinking of me right now. Remove drawings. Jeez, Link's getting harder and harder to chart, right? And this thing has not had a real run in some time. So we want to see 14 hold as support, right? We've seen these fibs comply or price comply at these fibs down here on this close over here, right? Tried to flip it here. This was resistance, is actually lower, so it's kind of starting to get dodgy. I think the important part when looking at charts right now is that last swing was this a 61.8 pullback for a 61.8 bullish continuation, right? Like if we're gonna buy a dip on any of these charts, these would be the dips because it's at a 61.8, right? So looking at Link right now, I think this pullback is good. I think buying Link at 14, it's not financial advice, this is my thoughts, right? Buying Link at 14 would be the bullish continuation for this trend. If it's going to continue up, like this is where we want to interact with these charts, is these dips, right? Just like on the QQQ where I'm disclosing that I have my biggest position is TQQQQ calls, right? So I think I added a Q to that. So yeah, I would be bullish on Link right now. Until, you know, if the last swing low gets taken out, that would be like my risk limit, right? So 13.3, 14.1, right? My stop would be at 13.3. And that's kind of my input, especially, yeah, like everything looks like it pulled back 61.8. BTC did, Ether not quite, it's at a 50. Some of the alts we looked at earlier today, especially like Solana is at 61.8, Link's at 61.8. Yo, it's texting me. Sweet. All right, fam. Thank you guys for tuning in at today's stream. Trade safe. Use your stops. Catch me in Discord if you're not in there. Yeah. If you are in Discord, you're new to Discord, and you haven't had a guest pass, just reach out on Discord and say, hey, like, give me a guest pass so you can actually see what's going on behind the scenes, because some people join and they just don't see any channels, any activity, and they leave. They don't realize there's so much more that you can't see without any permission. So if you don't have, if you're permissionless on Discord, let me know and we'll give you a guest pass. Other than that, guys, I'm gonna call this stream a day. I feel like I'm repeating myself. You guys have a happy Easter weekend,